So, a little bit, just everything situated. This is part two. I'm actually probably just going to redo the entirety of the explanation because I realized I missed things and some things have already changed. So, we'll go ahead and try and figure it all out again. Also, because I know some people who are going to be coming in weren't around for yesterday's as stuff was still happening uh, right before storm, right till storm. So, hi, Serial. Um, so we'll start kind of at the beginning again. Who Los Santos knew as Halen Wyld was not Halen Wyld. His name was Kaleb Nova. Halen Wyld had died a year previously in a car bomb that was meant for Kaleb Nova. Kaleb Nova was the FIB agent. He was the one who was had gone under deep cover and had come away uh, pretty messed up from his deep cover. He had to kill multiple people while he was there. He had to torture people. He was tortured a couple times himself. Um, he was not good when he finished his 10-year stint in the Leone crime family, in the Leone mafia. And so when he was sent to Las Venturas to learn about his next job, his next deep cover mission, the people there treated him like dirt because they never got that opportunity. And here is a young person, like a young man who not only got the opportunity, he lived and he got like special accommodations for having done so well. And so they were jealous. They disliked him due to his ability to pick things up quickly. And even with him being messed up, um, morality being kind of wibbly wobbly at that point in time, he wasn't corrupt enough for them. They offered to include him in some dealings that, keep your head down, move forward, and just um, and don't look into anything, and you'll get a nice kickback, not on the books. And at the time, Kaleb was like, "No, I want to know what it is before I agree to. No, I don't like. You need to tell me more." And they're like, "We're not telling you more until you like join." It was just a conflict of interest at that point, or it was a conflict that wasn't going to get resolved. So at this point in time, Kaleb gets a new neighbor. His neighbor has lived in Las Venturas his entire life. Like Kaleb, was an orphan, and unlike Kaleb, had grown up to not judge anyone, to see everyone for who they are, um, a person first and foremost, and to help them in whatever they need. Halen Wyld was stayed in Las Venturas to help everyone. He started coaching little leagues for baseball, football, and soccer. He started a food kitchen. He started trying to figure out how to get housing for the homeless in Las Venturas, how to um, get those who have addiction, how to get them help. Always he was burned. Always he was betrayed, and always he was just like, yeah, that's about right. But we're gonna keep trying because eventually that won't be the case anymore. And because of Caleb's just inability to go out and do anything. He just was very untrusting, always scared that someone from the Leon family was going to come and find him and kill him. He stayed home most of the time, and when Halen would come around, he would always, I mean always, knock on Caleb's door, ask him how he's doing, invite him over to drink, to eat, to watch a game, something, so that Caleb wasn't alone. And over time, Caleb started to change, started to gain his morality back, started to find that how Halen saw the world wasn't that bad. And that's right around the time when Halen asked Caleb to search for a weapon that the police said they don't have anymore, that the FIB does, and that's critical to one of his family's like insurance payout for a loss of life. And Halen agreed to look for it, and that's when Halen discovered the racketeering ring, the black market dealings of the FIB. And he told Halen that this is going to take a little bit more time, not worry. And he went and tried to gain as much as he could on the dealings. And before he could submit them to a contact he was having, my potato wedge, he was fired. He was then promptly like searched. While he was being searched, his apartment was being searched and ransacked. And so when when Caleb drove back to the apartment in his own car, his apartment was destroyed. There was nothing usable in it, not a thing. And that when Halen came around, he was like, "Well, shit," because Halen just came back from visiting Los Santos. Because Halen had heard that Los Santos had just reopened, had applied for a visa, got the visa, and was planning on heading over to Los Santos to help out. And so instead of packing his bags and moving immediately to Los Santos like he could, he stayed to try and help Caleb. And so Halen ended up grabbing Caleb's wallet on accident because they got matching wallets, um, and his keys. And Halen laughed at it as he went downstairs, because at that point in time he had told Caleb to go take a shower and just kind of like try to relax a little bit. Halen would take care of him for the take care of it, everything that's needed for today. And that's when Caleb kind of realized, fuck, this wouldn't be the last thing they would do. But he went to go check. He was like, it should be fine, right? My keys are right. No, those are Caleb. Those are Halen's keys. Shit, and like ran downstairs. Um, Halen was just like, yeah, he won't mind if I use his car. Turns the car on, like goes to turn the car on as Caleb runs downstairs into the parking garage. Caleb's telling him no, 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 and Halen just doesn't hear him. Just kind of like sees him as he's hitting the ignition, and like, and then as he hits the ignition, the car explodes, killing Halen Wyld, and causing Caleb to have like horrible injuries, uh, having metal implanted in his heart, and going into a coma for about 3 months. He recovers, but because the wallet on the person in the car didn't completely burn, but the body was impossible to get DNA from because it was burned and in many different pieces. Um, they attributed Halen Wyld dying as Kaleb Nova dying. And Kaleb Nova as Halen. Halen was also slightly scarred. Um, and at that point in time, FIB wanted to cover up what it could be, kind of rushed the investigation and made sure, you know, he's dead. We know he's dead. His wallet's there. Um, we're good. You don't need to look into this any further. You know, please, Los Venturas police. And so they didn't. And that is how Kaleb stayed alive and had two sort of epiphanies while he was trying to recover. Because at that time, Kaleb was just like, what's the point? Just die, just move on. Like, there's no point. I can't win against this. But he believed, like, he heard Halen's voice a couple times, saying not to give up, that that's just how the world works. And it just takes one person to try and fight against that. And eventually, with enough other people seeing the light and the hope that someone can give, you can change the world. And Kaleb decided to change his name to be Halen Wyld because he was not worthy of. He himself wasn't. He felt worthy of having his name written down as someone who did something amazing, if they could have. Instead, could keep Halen alive. Kaleb would be a whisper of himself and the continuation of his best friend for as long as he could, with the hopes of one day making Halen's name known to everyone as someone who is kind, considerate, wanting the best for for everyone, no matter where you came from, and helping you to be the best person you could be. So he refiled the visa into Los Santos. He retracted the other one because the other one had, he wasn't sure, but might have had the old Halen's photo, and that's not going to meet with or match Kaleb. So he sent it, resent it, which, you know, was a little odd, but weirder things have happened. And so there are two Halen Wylds in the MDT, kind of. The first one, the only way you can really see it is if you are a cop or a doctor, and you go to like in like as a reporting officer or something. Say it's like Halen, it will give you two. It'll give you 13,353 or 14,041. Um, and yeah, so Kaleb is the one who is in the city. He also was trying to, based off of his own research before, knew that the FIB had put guns and agents into the city. And so his entire purpose was to find all of those and to bring them to light so that people had a choice. Um, and yeah, he was able to, but he also needed to continue Halen's good work. Um, so he became a doctor and a garbage man, because Halen previously was always picked up after his community. Um, and he would always spout the same thing. Those who take care of their community and make it seem, clean it up and have respect for it, causes those in the community to also have respect for their community and leads to a better outcome for everyone involved. So, Halen wanted to do, or Kaleb, uh, which I'm now going to interchange them for the most part, because in my mind it's still the same. Became garbage man. This is one of where he kind of went first. Um, Over time, he learned, like, I set up, I should say, he set up the network, the social web. Um, what a lot of people, I think, had confusion on the social web. Uh, Keep it the still funny to me. I was never able to update it more. 'Cause I have like so much more input that it needs to have. Um, so for the social web, everything on the social web is people's emergency contacts. There is something called tags. So I did a little bit of reviewing last night of some VODs from previously, because I kind of wanted to see. One of my main things is, how did they know it was Halen for Gorillas and Trip Us? It was one of those things that I'm like, I need to know what would cause that. Um, just because I was curious. And I realized, oh, it was this. I sent an old screenshot where it still had the doctors, uh, which I was like, shit, because doctors is a tag that I associated afterwards. When I first did stuff, everyone was so far away and disconnected, it didn't make sense. So I made a tag for doctors. I made a tag for each gang, and I made a tag for PD. But as I added more people, I realized, and I did a little bit more research on how Obsidian works. I was like, oh, there are tags. I can do that instead. Because what I wanted to show was not inter-gang relationships. Like, everyone in Hades knows each other, right? I don't need to draw a line between everyone in Hades. That's just too many lines. This is already a fucking crazy, like, mismatch, and trying to see who's connected to who is already difficult, because there's just lines going everywhere. Instead, I wanted it to only be the people who are not, um, the people who are on your emergency contact list that aren't a part of your gang, or even if they are a part of your gang, they're still included. Um, but it's because if I gave, right now in this scenario, if I gave Duke a piece of information, I need to know who he could spread it to. Because at the time, the idea was more of, how do I get the most people to know about something, but be almost, um, being like not being able to be pointed at as the source of the information. And so it means it needs to the person who I want it to get to needs to be at least one to two steps away. So if I wanted to get to, I don't know, let's say it's, if I'm remembering correctly, Rude is Flop. Yeah. If I wanted to get to Flop Dugong, right, I might give Duke Ramsey the information. He might tell Rue, because Rue is connected to Flop. And now Flop has the information. Flop knows Rue got the information. Rue knows Duke got the information. But most people aren't going to go beyond the second. They're not going to be like, who'd you get it from? Where'd you learn this? Unless it was really critical. Um, but it ending there means that I'm still connected to Duke, but my connection is a doctor. My connection is not, I'm going to turn to Duke if something bad happens to me. Duke's not going to turn to me if something bad happens to him. That's not how that works. So, what this was supposed to be is, who do people turn to outside of their gang for information, or might share for information? Um, and so it's trying to keep things concise, because yes, everyone in the fucking city knows Carmine. Everyone knows Carmine. Carmine was an asshole to most people in this city, and so he would have a connection to everyone. Except if Carmine gets information, he's not going to tell fucking everyone reliably. He's going to tell the people he meets, sure, but I can't track that. That's randomness. I can track that. He'll probably tell Scotty Bard, DOC. He might tell Nakota. Nakota's around. And he might tell Leonardo Slacks. That's all I know. That's all I can safely assume. Um, any random person might be something different. Uh, so that is what this is. This is not who does everyone's Sonia Summers knows. I couldn't. That's too big. Who does Benji Ramos know? Benji Ramos knows every single gang leader, most of the gang members. He's been in the city for almost a decade. Like, that's crazy if I was trying to associate him with everyone. Instead, I'm associating with, like, he is the one person who doesn't, like, there are some people out here, in here, Benji being one of them, who never ICU'd. So I'd never know who his ICU, like, who would talk to him not, with an ICU. The only way I can tie him to Giovanni Masters, Phoenix Fahey, and Beverly Brecker is because they list him as their contact. And I have Benji listed for Raymond, Mickey Sinclair, Tic Tac, Louis Blanc, because they are also the ones who I know in character were tied to Benji. And so I'm at that point in time when I set those up, I did not know about Hades. So if I came in later on was like, oh, who's Benji? Like, those would have been cut because Benji's Hades. For the most part. Ray would still probably be in there, and so would Mickey. But Tic Tac and Louie would be cut off. Just makes things easier overall. Makes this, because you can't make out shit from this. I'm sorry, you can't. The only way you can see things is if I highlight them. And that's how you do stuff. Um, that's this. This was actually initially was a super long-term project. Halen or Kaleb. I'll probably just use Halen from this point forward, unless I'm referring to something in the past, and then I'll use Kaleb so you can differentiate. The Halen of Los Santos was going to be an information broker. That is what I wanted him to be. He was going to be an information broker as soon as he could get enough connections, and he would be able to point people in directions, be able to stop wars from happening, be able to build up enough trust with gangs to be like, you're being used. Here is how you're being used, and having people take him seriously. It was another reason Whisper was born. Whisper being what he felt of himself. He's a whisper of himself, but also a whisper into the city's ears with different information and different things. How things happen, where things are happening, and why. Fortunately, timing wise, it was bad. I was very, very bad. What was your dream? Oh, the me and Halen and Odontal. Unfortunately, that is the case. No, what was your dream duo? I'm curious now. I mean, the amount of stuff I have, but you know what? Fair enough. I I I appreciate you're just making me be like well, no, I'll never know. Um, I'll thank you, Hatchet Man. Appreciate it. Um, so unfortunately for Halen, uh, Kaleb, whichever one, um, he is like his first two people. Um, maybe. I heard a little bit of Alice Omen, and I was just like, God damn, her and Kaleb have so many of the same like had so many of the same sayings and outlooks because of Halen's influence. And Kaleb stayed away from Gareth Graves' people as much as he could, so that yeah, but he did that so that if anything bad was to happen to Halen and people were searching for him and searching for those around him, that would be a cutoff. That would be that wouldn't be a he wouldn't get them involved. Kind of similar to doctors. But the first person Halen actually wanted to include in all of this was Faye Pierce, um, who had opened up to Halen pretty early on, or opened up to Kaleb, and he and was like basically going to work hand in hand with her because she had more knowledge of she was a criminal, though she had a very like clear goal that Halen was like, no, that works. That actually like we can work together on this and would work well. And so she would be able to give him uh like come up with all of the criminal contacts, like who's connected to who's what in what gang, all that stuff, which is what Halen was missing. Halen couldn't go into the criminal world. It just he could not because that would besmirch the name he's trying to like put on as a good person. Um, and it's why Whisper was needed because he would have to talk to everyone else. He would need something to separate those two, and so the persona was born for that. And so that Whisper is Kaleb almost completely. Um, Whisper is the one who would be willing to do things that Halen would find detestable and completely impossible to do. Um, I remember, I know I was missing another thing from yesterday and I can't remember what it is, but that's unfortunate for me. Sorry, my brain, let's just say I didn't sleep well. My brain kept going over stuff of what could have happened or what I should have done or should have said differently. Um, because as you can tell, I put a lot of effort into this. I put time. Um, I was hoping to get past Saturday. That was it. That was all I was trying to do. Um, and I guess we can move on a little bit to yesterday and or like the last week. The last week, a lot happened very quickly. Um, and so I can go before. Let's go before. Let's go with what Whisper was trying to get with inviting people. So initially, Whisper invited Nino Chavez. Um, he invited Nino because Nino would have the best idea of who to trust, if anyone, in the PD, in either of the PDs. Um, he would also probably have some pretty good contacts with gangs. Um, but he's a good person to start with because he also, in every encounter Halen had with him, cared more about the people than his own good, at least verbally. And in some of his actions, it showed. So it was like, well, my first person to involve, I'm going to have to risk it. A risk has to be taken. And so he went to Nino. And he wanted to build as fast of a rapport with Nino as possible. And unfortunately, Nino wanted shows so that Whisper uh, was trustworthy, would include Edgar and Brandon Valentino. Dale Castillo and Brandon Valentino within like 2 days. And Whisper hated that idea. Like, Kaleb, that is the worst. He didn't have these names in his, like, in the web. He didn't know who these people were. He didn't know what they had done. He had heard of Edgar before from Survival, but he didn't really, like, at that point in time, wasn't all that interested in Survival. You know, just a game show, basically. So kind of ignored it at the time, but had to then go back and rewatch it to figure out who Edgar was. And he had no contacts with anyone. Like, he went to the couple people he knew, Ray Garcia and Gareth Graves, who were more of the gang-oriented people, to ask them. And they are like, we don't know anything because both of them are really new to the city. So Whisper had to go into the include like talking to these people blind, not knowing their motivations, not knowing what they believed in, or uh, who they were a part of. They didn't. Whisper didn't know they were Tripus. He didn't know about anything really. Um, but he wanted to get Nino's trust because he was going to need to rely on Nino's information for a while. And so he did. He asked them questions. I'll bet, as a as a almost as a Protoss. Um, I want to show, or I want you guys to let me see if I can't figure out if I can't get old the old sound I had, because it was now that I've like been around a little bit more, I'm like, oh shit, it was bad. Like, it was so bad. Um, Finding the right one, like the original one, is hard. I have the one that I altered, but that's not nearly as good. But yeah, I basically could have turned that one into like a when I was trying to listen so I could like I was reading chat just to see how people could understand the voice changer, and everyone's like, this is Protoss. And I was just like, oh my god, it is. I'm even harder to understand than the Protoss, but I will need to like go back over um and like actually use it because I think it would be fucking hilarious. Yeah, my unfortunately for me, it's a really old sound, so I don't know even in here to be honest. Uh,
You feel me?
that is just a soundboard thing. I don't want that. I want the voice. That's a find it. Um. Anyways, yeah. So I'm this week. I'm basically gonna go through like Peppo's VOD from yesterday. Um. Probably Brandon's as well. So Easy Life. Um. Or we went through Fred's because I knew kind of where to start with finding out who I was. Um, and then, oh, that would be awesome. I actually don't know who she plays as or what her stream handle is. Again, I'm very new to all of this. This entire thing was a fever dream I cooked up over 4 months. Um, like the backstory was made fairly quickly, like a week, and then was refined for another month as I was applying, like over like 2 or 3 months as I was applying into for NoPixel. I just kept working on it because I had time. Um, the whole Whisper stuff was kind of done in moments. Um, so Whisper had it's crazy how fast it worked. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Bont, who plays Gareth, streamed yesterday for the first time. He said in like months. And he did it be as he said for posterity. Um, which is why you guys seen. I'm gonna probably be deleting the part one of this after this. Um, so don't like because I showed stuff in there that might actually come up now, but we'll see. Um, I got so I still have some work I have to do um to get things set up properly. Uh, because Halen was meticulous to say the least. I am not as much, nor did I have multiple days in which I could work on something. Because life. I have a life outside of Halen. Halen's life was uh, all in there, so fleshing some stuff out post hoc um, is done just because Halen knew he was probably dying yesterday. Um, it is why he set up so many tried to set up as many fail safes as he could. In all honesty, when Hades showed up, basically like you let him like Hades is telling us to let him go. That was a spark of hope that I was not expecting. I was expecting Louis to be like, yeah, this is I had a guy I need to go like I fucked up. I need to go grab his body. Um, that's what I was expecting. Um, or need to find his body. I was not expecting like, hey, we need to roll out for this guy. Because whether or not any of you realized it, um, oh, I now know who you wanted me to interact with. Just from that statement, I'm like, yeah, I know. Um, the I probably just starting. I don't think there was a lot more to go with it. Her handle would be great because I probably will pop in there every once in a while. Um, but all I'll say is BM, and if that's who you're thinking, then cool. I know exactly who you're talking about from before. But yeah, no, there's so over Halen ended or Whisper ended up having uh so Whisper ended up like or Halen ended up like talking with some more people and getting more and more people involved. Halen in some ways had a crush on Rain after their first meeting. Um and like they met a couple more times and she was enough of a like she was kind of random, which is someone who is very controlled needs um and seeks out. Um and getting her involved would have is an because only had people who were really he felt controlled involved and he needed someone who's a little bit more chaotic included, and so invited Rain to join, which she did. But again, there are two different types of people. There are the um, operators that Halen had an idea about. Operators are the ones who do missions. They're the ones who go out and do things. And then there's informants um, or analysts. Either one works. Um, he wanted her to be both. The problem with that is she already seemed like she was very distasteful of being an informant or an analyst. I say informant because to me it's just like, yeah, you're giving information. That's what an informant is, but it has such a negative connotation to it in this city, but also just in general. So like an analyst makes more like it's a data, like I have it as a data analyst almost. Um, and yeah, so that was um, got her involved. He got Eliza involved from New Epsilon. Um, thank you, appreciate it. Um, he got Eliza involved because Eliza hit like the same stuff as as what Halen would have wanted. Like a food kitchen, community outreach. Like yeah, some of it had a little bit of a kind of a culty-ish vibe. Um, but if you didn't have to join and you could just do the like take care of the community to take care of the community, then all the more reason. Probably not Arctaz, not for a while. Mainly because Halen is how I would have been a doctor. Um, and I don't have a way of changing that aspect. Because I tried to go to med school, um, and had studied for like 6 years to be a doctor, or like to get into to med school. So like, it's really hard to put a character in front of that. It's unfortunately it's the most I went. It's the most me was Doctor RP. Um, that and unfortunately it's a lot of waiting around. It's a lot of just dead time. And with Halen, I had a reason for the dead time. Could use it. I don't think I could use it as anyone else. which sucks. I don't think it will be a like a never, but right now I don't see like the next one of my next characters doing being a doctor just because one's not going to be the smartest of characters and the other is probably going to be more PD oriented just to be something different. Because yeah, if I go back to being a doctor immediately, it's just Halen 2.0 at that point is what it's gonna sound like. And I'm sorry, but I can't do that to people. Can't do it to myself either. It's still too fresh. I don't even it's like I know a lot of that gang. Um they pop up on my like to follow or to watch, so I'm good there, Serial. I'm pretty sure I can find them. I found a couple. I found Barky. I found Edbert. Um, I've had the others pop up quite a bit as well. I already have attack. Oh, what caused him to lose it in the cave was being told that he doesn't care about people, that he's in it for himself, that he's being selfish. Um, like he's just using people and throwing them away. Like that is literally the antithesis of what he was doing. And it was trying to, you could see the manipulation of Edgar trying to convince Ray that this is a piece of shit that doesn't deserve your, you know, doesn't deserve anything. Um, and it was just a like, at that point, he's gonna get shot. Like Halen already knows at that point in time he's a dead man. He knew going in, and like while Edgar and Brandon were like, "Well, we're just talking," he's like, "No, you're not. You wouldn't come to this place just to talk. This is an easy place to drop a body." Again, Halen worked for a crime family, a mafia. He assisted an enforcer for 10 years. He was an enforcer for 6 of those 10 years. He knows what this place was and what it's used for very easily. So like he's just like, yeah, just drop the fucking bullshit. It's why he went into most of it being like, you guys aren't going to be honest with me. I'll still be honest with you, but you're going to lie to me. You're going to tell me what I want to hear, try to get the most out of me, and I'm going to have hard lines which you're not passing through. It's why like when Ray was like, I need the other 5 names, he was like, no, I refuse. It's not happening because in multiple ways it's showing loyalty and showing like I don't give up anyone's name. He didn't give up Nino. Instead, Edgar handed Ray the phone that at the beginning I didn't realize I need because that SIM card was never supposed to leave the apartment ever. It was the only time it was supposed to leave was it never was. It was literally I did most of the sim stuff there. Oh yeah, no. It was actually beta blockers. The needle was actually beta blockers. The Halen had a vial of black ooze on the inside of his shirt pocket. That unless you knew like you were looking for a secret compartment you weren't finding. Um It's just, spy stuff at that point. And he got shot and all that stuff. Um, yeah, he got the black ooze from when Margot was vomiting and basically a zombie. Halen's the one who treated her. Treated her, treated Ben Silisai because he got bit by Margot and got infected. Um, like he was the one who dealt with all of that. So he kept it because he's like, I need to figure out what the fuck this is so I can know how to cure it. Um, because no one deserves to have this, and so I basically made it like it was said like it was attacking antibodies, so or like an autoimmune disease almost. The body was cannibalizing itself. So if you give autoimmune suppressors, it stopped. That's as far as Halen knows. But he was looking into it because he's like, I need to know how to fucking cure this thing. Because he saw it as a virus. He didn't see it as anything more than that. It was only like the day before that he learned from Helios that it was supposed to bring people back from the dead. And it's like, that's not how that works. And also, who that sounds horrible. Like you're not getting back a regular person. Um, but yeah, no, the explosion at Edgar was literally just like, I'm dead anyways. But you, sir, like you don't get to say that. Like you don't get to just respect me in that way. I'm already fucking dead. Like I don't have anything to lose. Um, I mean he does, but uh, Halen was already on a clock. Um, I did. Oh, this is what the one of the things I didn't talk about last night, which is Halen had four perma conditions. One was heart attacks. Um, he got. I wasn't sure how hard it would be for him to get heart attacks. Basically, any high adrenaline thing would cause his heart rate to increase, and he couldn't decrease it unless about 10 minutes have passed. In out of game, which is an hour in game. I did do the math to figure out how long an hour would be. It's an for every hour in game, it's 10 minutes in the real world. So I was like, oh, okay. So after 10 minutes, his heart rate will go down a stage, roughly. Um, if he's in the top one for 5 minutes, he will get a heart attack. If he doesn't take any of his medication, if he doesn't have anything to treat it, he will have a heart attack. In which case, he will be ICU'd for a day or overnight, depending upon what time it is. After four, I start doing death rolls, um, and every time after that, the DC for the roll gets higher and higher and higher. Basically, it's an aneurysm because of the amount of blood pressure that would be causing and the slow suffocation of the brain. Also, after every heart attack, he would forget a couple things, um, seeing as he only ever had two heart attacks total. Um, it wasn't that severe yet, but it would have gotten really bad as things progressed. Um, there was one way of fixing the heart attacks because of the basically he had a nerve cut and they couldn't do a like a pacemaker on him because he had a piece of metal that it was conductive. Yeah, only two heart attacks. Yep. Considering this city and how crazy things could get. But yeah, uh, I don't consider them like major heart attacks unless they last 5 minutes, right? 5 to 10 minutes. There are people who get heart attacks frequently, and nothing. It still messes with the body. Stuff starts to fail after like the 10th one, or like the fifth one. Parts die. Deoxygenated areas. Body kills it off to save everything else. Um, but memory is very rarely affected in that situation. It is literally like part of your liver goes, part of your kidney, like muscle atrophy. That kind of stuff is usually how it goes. Um, so yeah, he could die from the heart attacks is one. Two, which was really early on, um, is he got found out as Whisper, before anything got set up. Um, like if he made a big mistake early on, um, he would have just been assassinated and never showed back up in the city. Um, it's I yeah, let's just there's a secondary game that was going on in the background that none of you know. You guys won't know. You guys will learn about it probably later this week. Um, but or those of you who watched yesterday's uh stream, the ending like recap stuff, know who it is. But that one's going away right now. I realized that I showed some things in there that I need to not. Um, Unpublishing it for right now until later. Um, but there's stuff in like there's that side of things. Um, and so if they got direct knowledge, um, Halen dies. Um, if they if he got shot, the idea was he if he got shot by anyone who he told to get into basically the inner circle of Whisper, he died. Um, Depending, that one's a little bit more dependable. It's how long they've been in and how critical they were to things and where they shoot him. Because if he just gets shot in the leg, he's not going to die from being shot in the leg. But if he gets shot, like he told them, um, and it's one of the things that I wish I remembered in the moment because I think it would have been such a way better line, which is I already told like I'll get to it afterwards. There's so many things from the conversation, like the end of the conversation yesterday, I wish I did, and just pushed to do or say that I didn't, that I held back, that I think would have made it better. Um, and then the fourth one is uh is later down the line. Um, if enough failures were accrued, um, Halen would have also been assassinated. Would have been another thing. Um, so there's two different types of assassinations that could have happened. Um, but yeah, so those were the four. Besides that, he was just gonna be ICU'd, like crashes and stuff like that. ICU for like a day. Or depending upon like the severity, I would have just gone with what I felt would have been right during that time. Now to the conversation from yesterday, like everything from yesterday, because oh my goodness. Um, so there was so much. Boy, there was so much in that conversation. Like trying to dump everything onto Ray, knowing how Ray is. Uh, it's why I kept it as fucking succinct as I could because it's like this guy didn't come here for this, um, at all. Um, but it is what it is. So it's just got to make do. Um, and he like I think a couple of things would have been recognized, like trying to recognize the fact that um because I did forget that I had told Peppo had like Edgar had mentioned um working for someone. right? Like, because to me, it was like if you got missiles, like you're working for someone. Someone's not just going to give it to you. You're going to have to get it from someone. And it's recognizing that faster. And then being able to ask, or being able to say, oh, someone got you to jump. Because during the first conversation, um, Whisper had told him that the only way that someone would get you to do something, or like someone would have to, yes, um, at that point it was Halen was dead. Like there was a chance, but I was under the impression he's just dead. Um, it's two intense characters, and it's there was a way I could have played to one side. I could have played to Ray, way better. I mean, the fact that I'd be like, I'm the one who gets you all your materials, and now if you want doctor equipment, I can get you that too. You just need to get me out of here, and I will give you more information that you probably don't have, but I need to live for you to get it. Like that could have been played, um, but it doesn't. That's not who Halen is, right? That's not him. Or I should say, at that point, that's not Kaleb. If it happened earlier, it might have been, but it's he changed enough. That wasn't how he was going. Um, excuse me. But yeah, so he ended up like using like, oh, so you're jumping, like someone's telling you to jump and you're jumping, Edgar. I think that would have been really like a really good line, because it's just like, this is you've the thing I didn't think you would do, which is all under the boot of someone else. You're doing. You've done it. Now that's this makes more sense. Um, I think that would have been an interesting interaction, because now if he shoots me, he's proving me right. If he doesn't shoot me, then he's letting a potential, what he believes is the leak, out. Um, and then last thing is when they like went um and set up like the firing line would have been, I already told you how do you do this, Edgar. You put the barrel to my head and you pull the trigger. Oh, he probably couldn't have. Um, again, I'm a know nothing. I'm a no name nobody to him. He's no idea, and like the shit I was talking about or asking about is so out there, right? So like, I'm not. He's not interested in that shit. Um, I got under his skin as well with you're running, like if I kept pushing, you're running from this. Because again, I could have pushed the survival thing of, you're listening to Edgar again. What happened the last time you listened to Edgar? I think that line alone might have swapped everything, right? Just being like, well, the last time you trusted Edgar, what happened? You got voted off. He betrayed your trust. Think he's changed? That would have very much gotten him being like, wait, what the? You're right. What the fuck? I am listening to this motherfucker again. Like, he's good at manipulation. That is, like, he knows, like, Edgar knows criminals in this city better than Halen does. Halen knows criminals as people who want to protect their family, people who will go to whatever lengths for money, um, for power, but also to protect those close to him or to yourself. Like that's what you do. Um, and yeah, so that is that. I think the one thing I regret also I could have done and I didn't was when I heard the cars coming. is I could have ran at that point because neither Edgar nor Brandon had their guns out. I could have immediately ran into the hedge maze because I would have probably made it into the hedge maze. Um, but I don't think I would have gotten to the bike I had hidden in the back in time. They would have just circled around and shot him. Um, yeah, that's... No, I did not. I did not know about the doctor curse. I mean, yeah, there's so much. There was so much in that. Um, any questions about anything else? Ah, I mean, if Halen didn't fuck up previous Tuesday in getting caught by gorillas setting up a camera, if um if he'd been a little bit more cautious, he would have been probably lived a little bit longer. But at the same time, if I wanted to, Halen would have lived. If I wanted to, Halen would not have done the um would not have gone to that meeting because the city was too hot. Um, Something that happened again, couple like from Eliza, FIB is in the city. He learns that on Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. Learns that on Wednesday. He has 3 people contacting him about meeting up. That is fucking weird. Um, like that's just odd. And then while he's out of the city for 3 days, 3 people get two two get shot, or I should say 3 get shot. One dies. Another one gets a lobotomy, and the last one gets shot so many times that they're in the ICU. That is enough heat all next to each other to be like, yeah, no, it's too hot. I need to back away. And he was told that. He was told that by Gareth that, you should just cancel this. Like it's too dangerous. Um, but even though I, as Firewolf, knew what gorillas and Tripas were doing, and like they're going to try and kill him, um, Halen didn't know that for sure. As he thought that like, okay, he might actually like they might actually have the stuff that they wanted. Like this could be like here's the information that you wanted but previously, and it was between the two, and he went with the choice, like the gotta he went with it. So um yeah. Oh, that was not a good one. Um, Unfortunately for him, uh, there was a lot of issues with that entire conversation. And then the funnier part of driving past him and him like running around with Randy and just being like, that's weird. Why do you have the guy who got lobotomized? Randy was terrified of you previously. Now he's fine with you? Odd. Almost like that's okay. Any other questions? I'm mainly asking because probably after this stream, I'll do like one more when I start doing the next one, in the next stream. I'll still have some questions open because it's gonna take a little bit for people to like come in and out and be able to ask them. But eventually, this will just be a like, hey, if you want to know what happens or what's going on, this is the VOD to look at. I do not plan on streaming for the rest of the day. Um, I might stream Wednesday right now. Um, just have a fun stream with good old Fred and go from there. Of course. I mean, it's where I have a lot of fun. Um, I will say Halen was less fun, I would say, than most characters would be. It was a lot of stress, but it was a lot of like the fun I had was seeing other people taking what I made or what I was doing and like running with it. Um, and it's now really out there and it's really cool how many people like I roped in actually a lot of people. And while I was expecting some, I wasn't expecting it to this extent, nor was I expecting it to potentially have the consequences it's going to. Um, and after tomorrow, there's going to be even more. There's going to be so much more. Oh man, the city is going to fucking explode, and it's great. Because, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things happening. Um, there's so much. But with that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call the stream there. Kaylee has started streaming, so that is Eliza. She might have just learned about Halen. And we can all see what is going on over there, because uh, I for one am very curious. Make sure I get everything right. Yep, I do. So, uh, want to raid? Please do. Otherwise, I'll see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.